And good evening, everybody. How is everybody doing tonight? Oh, I need to adjust my camera a little bit. It's just right there. Good to go. How are you all doing? This is I know it's a bit of an impromptu stream, but I appreciate the people that are here. I see got a handful of people in the live chat, so I hope there'll be more coming in because I don't think this will. I think that this will be one that you won't want to miss because we got something cool coming up. But yeah, I see two people have commented there. I see Raven Darkstar, good to see you, and Captain Bud as well. Appreciate you hanging out. Exceptionally Average is here. Says I'm doing just peachy. Fantastic. Good to hear. Good to hear. So, but yeah, interesting stuff. So I know it's been a minute since I've gone live. YouTube keeps telling me that I need to do live. That I need to do more live streams, which I probably do. You can hear dog doing it. Squirt Baby, good to see you. Thanks so much for being here. But yeah, apparently I need to do more live streams. Apparently it'll help with monetization or whatever. I have no idea, but I know that we're 200 away from the 10,000 mark, from 10,000 subscribers, which makes me really really happy. So I'm really excited about that. Slowly but surely creeping towards that 10K mark, and obviously I'll likely do a live stream when I doing to celebrate the 10K. But yeah, so what is the purpose of this live stream? Obviously, I put the thumbnail up there because of the support of all of you, supporting this channel members, and of course, super chats, super thanks, milestone chats, all the cool stuff that you guys do. Because of that, I was able to road trip it up to Topeka, Kansas, to check out the Black Mass, to basically cover the Black Mass. For those who may not be in the know, a group called the Satanic Grotto held a Black Mass at the Topeka Statehouse, the Kansas Statehouse, at the Capitol, and it was an interesting time. And I wanted to. It was it's nearby. It's not that far away. It's about a 4.5 hour drive for me. So I wanted to truck it up there, and I wanted to check it out, and I wanted to be there and just see what I could see what would happen. And yeah, it was fascinating. And for those of you who are here, and hopefully we will get more people in, I will be having a special guest come on here in about 30 minutes. So this is a little bit of a pre-show so I can get warmed up, say hi to everybody, let people come in, talk to them about that. And but yeah, that's pretty much it. That was it was an interesting time. The drive up there is not as bad. I would say it's a little boring, driving through Kansas, just because it's Kansas. Kansas is not a bad state. It's a lovely state, very very pretty, very very pretty country. But just there wasn't a lot to look at. But I will say it's not as bad as driving I-20 through East Texas, coming back from like South Carolina, like driving through, and you get through Louisiana and you break into Texas, and that stretch in between Shreveport and DFW, that stretch through a stretch of I-20 through East Texas. Oh, that is so boring. It is just so nothing. I hate that. This is one of the worst stretches ever. I mean, you think that going west, towards California would be worse because you're just driving through these kind of remote areas of New Mexico and Arizona, then through but there's plenty of stuff to look at out there. There's amazing stuff out there. But yeah, that stretch of East Texas is terrible. But going north to Kansas wasn't that bad. But got to think about what I was going to do and what I was going to check out. I did get video, and I got a bunch of pictures. I got lots of pictures, and I did get video. But I learned several things. I learned several things that I realized if I'm going to be doing this kind of stuff more often, like going out and checking this stuff out, I needed to improve. I needed to make some improvements in my tech and all kinds of stuff. So obviously, one of the first things I did when I got home is I picked up this external battery pack because I realized I needed one badly. My phone simply, my phone and my gimbal, which is this bad boy that I love so much because this thing is absolutely amazing. These things could not keep up with the drain on them. So I realized that I needed a power bank. So I got one. I was like, I need a power bank badly. So I've got a brand new power bank to use to hold those things up. It'll probably also help Pokemon Go. It will when I'm out there, catching stuff. But yeah, I went out there and it was interesting. So you know what? Since we got a little bit of time, people are still kind of filing in. Let me go ahead and see if I can. Let me see here. Let me see if I can get to this. No, I can't. I can't look at it that way. Dang it. Oh, but what I can do is this. So what I can do is I can present. I can share my screen. And I can show you some pictures. So let's see. Oh, no, that's not good. That's not going to work. All right. So yeah, this was me. So there's going to be some stuff in here. There's the Kansas. There's the Topeka Statehouse, and you can see the massive. Oh yeah, don't Demon Tech jail. Yeah, I don't plan on doing that. I wanted. I learned. This was a great thing about the trip is I learned a ton of stuff about what I need to do if I'm going to continue doing stuff like this because I want to be able to get out and do it more. Which obviously means that as the channel grows, I'll have that opportunity to do it. But I realized I learned a lot about what I'm going to need so I can do it effectively. So there's the Topeka Statehouse, the Kansas Statehouse in Topeka, and you can see the line of cars. So this is all law enforcement, border patrol, all kinds of stuff, all kinds of like law enforcement agencies were out and about. Just and what they did is this area in front, they'd actually had the middle lane pretty much blocked off to allow for traffic to keep I guess, to keep traffic flowing or like that, or to make sure that nothing happened. I don't really know, or to keep it separate. So I guess there were no accidents. So everybody was in one lane or to minimize accident potential. But there was a lot of them. So lots of all the way back. That's all law enforcement. And it went forward to the light as well. So that's all law enforcement. There's our intrepid members of the Satanic Grotto hanging out. Then they were doing prep while they were working. One thing I will say, I wanted to Kansas. Yeah, it is. It's Kansas. What I wanted to potentially get like, interviews to talk with people. Number one, I wanted to talk to some of the believers. I wanted to talk to some of them and engage with them. And I also wanted to talk to, but there was two issues. One, it was insanely windy. As you can see, this individual's hair right here. It was nuts. It was so windy out there, and audio was very, very difficult. And so I opted to just kind of like record myself and record what was going on with some of the videos, and then of course take pictures, take lots of pictures. So there's one section of the believers. Now the believers were camped up in two camps. So you had the Topeka. If you're looking at the State House head on, like if you're looking directly at it, the Satanic Grotto was posted up right in front of the steps, and off to the sides were the areas of the believers. Now there was one small area off to the right, and that was this group here doing the little prayer thing. And then off to the left there was another. See, here it is. And so off to the right, over this side was that small little group doing their prayer stuff, and then over this side you see those flags. Those flags there where another group was set up that had a massive like deal going on in that stuff. So basically trying to use their God magic to counter the Satanist magic, which is hilarious to me. So, but yeah, so there was this and there was this and there was this group going on right here. That's them setting up. It's people with cameras and such, and they had their signs as well. Now the police tape that you see right here, the way it was set up is that you had police tape over here and police tape over here. That cordoned off the areas. The believers or the believer demonstrators of the believers were cordoned off over to this side, and they could demonstrate over there, and they could demonstrate over there beyond that area, which was there. They get off those behind those barricades, and that this area was open to the people who were affiliated or people who were like journalists who were covering this, or people who affiliated with the Satanic Grotto. And then, which, I wore my Not Today Jesus shirt, which pretty much identified me immediately. So they knew who I was. And I'd also spoken with a representative of the Satanic Grotto before I went out there to let him know what was, who I was and what was going on. And so that was pretty much it. That was where they were at. That, however, did not stop the drama. Okay. So they are okay. So we're going to get into that, Dan Z. Are they theistic Satanists or are they atheistic Satanists? So we're going to get into that. Okay. I promise you that we will get into that. So that's them setting up, and they've got their, lots of law enforcement all over the place who are really cool. The officers were really, really nice. I did not have an issue with any one of the officers. They were like, you can go here, you can go here. They were very, very helpful with directing like where we could go, where the open areas for walking were, and I didn't see any problem. They handled it professionally. They handled it swiftly. As a matter of fact, a lot of them I think found it as entertaining as I did, because a lot of them were laughing and found this to be ultimately very, 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 very amusing. So there's the small group doing their little prayer session. There's another group that's out of them. There's them setting up, and there's a president. That is the president of the Satanic Grotto, Michael Stewart, who came out there all decked out in his nines. And he had his posters as well. And that it's actually double-sided. One side says "Hail fucking Satan." The other one has a comment about Christian, I think like Christian bigotry or something, or Christian hatred or something of that nature. So yeah, fuck Christian fascism was what the back of that said, was fuck Christian fascism. And of course, they spent some time kind of hobnobbing at the police tape, just talking back and forth. Apparently, this individual over here, you can't see his face, but you will in a moment, says, holding this sign, says, "Bet these pussies won't blaspheme Islam next." They don't know us very well, do they? But we blaspheme Islam all the time. Fuck Islam. And this individual apparently is well known to the Satanic Grotto. Like the individuals, they are very well aware of this guy. He is apparently a persistent thorn in their side with his antics. But because they were calling him by name, he was calling them by name. And so there he is, that guy right there. And what was really funny is he's got these really, really thick dreads, like these big, thick dreads. And the wind was so bad, it kept blowing his hat off, which I thought was hilarious. Like it just kept knocking his hat off. He had to get, he spent as much time chasing his hat as he did trying to engage with them. And yeah, rolling with Jesus and my AK. That is his shirt. That was the shirt he was wearing with that big ass fucking belt buckle that he did not earn in a rodeo, that he likely bought in a Western shop. And then of course, "Bet these pussies won't blaspheme Islam next." And yeah, they don't know us very well, do they? There's him engaging with them just a little bit. It was really hard to hear. You basically had to yell just to get over the wind. The wind was so intense. There's a dude with his fake horns on. Yeah, that was him. Yeah, going back and forth, the two of them. She was really mad. She was mad. Like, she was pissed. Like, that woman was screaming. She took great offense. And this guy, too. This guy, unfortunately, I think was angry, but too soft-spoken. Like, he couldn't get it out. Like, yeah, like, he wasn't willing to, like, really, really yell, or maybe he could, I don't know. But he kept trying to get a word in edgewise, but everyone kept over-talking him. So he was getting more and more frustrated as it was going on. So, that's them talking. Yeah, they had the sign. some of the stuff that the Christians brought. And another thing that they brought, which made recording difficult, is that they actually brought several of them brought out some big ass speakers and started blasting Christian music like as loud as they could. And getting close to them, that intruded on the recordings that I was doing. So it made it a kind of a pain in the ass. With the wind and them blasting Christian music, which is likely copyright protected, it was very hard to get audio out there appropriately. So, and again, try to engage with them in conversations. There were a couple of people that I had trading comments with like this, but nobody really engaged with me directly. They were pretty much just there doing their own thing. That was a look at the whole deal of that area. This is not as full as it got. Once the blasting striper, that's rough. Once the Black Mass got underway, which I think was at 11 o'clock, that's when this area filled up pretty bad, or pretty thick. Yeah, it got pretty thick. There's them. Okay, this is important. This guy right here. Okay, this guy has been there like for some time. Just posted up, hanging out right there. All right. He's been hanging there for a minute. I know that if we go back, okay, he wasn't there at that point. So these photos are in chronological order. But he showed up and he pretty much posted up right there. That's where he sat with his little bag of whatever and his bottle of water. Okay, just quiet. Nobody paying him in mind. But keep that dude in mind. Has more setup. There's this look at the table, and they have their logo there. Probably the Grotto, Fire and Brimstone. Love it. Some of their signs. There he is. And this lady, posted up next to him while they were waiting and actually was talking with him. She told me that they were chatting, everything was good. Some of the signs that they brought out: proud pagan, y'all should be mad as hell. Some of the on the Satanist side, a lot of them they were all super friendly, really cool people, really engaging, smart, really, I really enjoyed just chatting briefly with some of them. Yeah, there's a dude who brought his dirty effigy up there. Jesus is my jam. Ooh, Jesus jam. It's probably tangy. Jesus is the cure. Stop blasphemy now. Tomorrow's not promised. Yeah, the various signs they say up. Not looking good with the gesture there, but we'll just leave that for other people's interpretation. Probably coming up on one of my favorite signs that the Christians brought. I had a favorite one. So there's no orgy. Rude. Separate church from state. There's no place for your religious hate. It is and then they actually brought out someone dressed as a camel to quote Matthew 19:24, which I found to be entertaining. Freedom of religion for all, freedom for me, but not for thee. So God will not be mocked. But apparently he will, because he's not doing anything about it. Where is my favorite sign of theirs? There we go. That is by and large my favorite. My favorite sign. Oh, so Raven Dark says, Bridge Divide, was it you or Friendly Atheist that did the lead up to this? Friendly Atheist, Hemet Meta was doing the early coverage, and he made me aware of it. I looked into it and was like, hey, I could go and check that out. So I wanted to go and check that out. I really do. And okay, yeah, we're gonna dive into the big parts of it. But that is by and large my favorite one. Sacrilege is not free speech. Obviously, sacrilege is free speech. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean they can't say it. Everybody has the right to say. Everybody has the right to speak in accordance with with federal and local statutes. But to say what they want. But you can't just say, I don't like it, or it makes me upset, therefore you can't say it. It's not the way the First Amendment works. So obviously a lot of ignorance on this side. Lots of ignorance and conspiracy theory. There's our intrepid. Should have known just by the look on his face. I think he might have been looking at me. he might have been angry at me. I don't know. But he might have just been, looking at me. I'm not sure. There he is doing his thing. Respecting, I said, the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment. You notice that guy hanging out. So, yeah. And they had a bunch of really cool signs. Oh, this is a good puppy. This is a big puppy that I met that he was he's a cane Corso, and beautiful dog, huge, and an absolute puppy. This is him trying to walk himself. I had to get some pictures of him, but a total just doofy dog, super friendly, and just a lot of fun. So he was an absolute gorgeous dog. And he was just like, kisses all day long and wanting to jump around, even though I think he probably weighed like 150, 160 pounds, and he just wanted to be a puppy all day. So he was absolutely adorable. Some of the members of the Satanic Grotto, and this is their resident musician. And there they started really starting to bench up. This is him getting ready to play. before they did the mass. Yeah, and he ripped off his shirt. So. Does he have a tattoo? Is that from Fight Club? It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Yep. It's only after we've lost everything that we're free to do anything. Chuck Palahniuk. Or, Tyler Durden, whichever one you consider who said that. There's him. Okay, so at this point, I actually had to step back because my battery was dying. So I ran back to the car and I recharged as fast as I could, and then I got back out there. And this is just at the stop of when they were doing the communion wafer. That's him about to desecrate the communion wafer, and then things got interesting. All right, and we are going to get into that. So yeah, the cops had to come in. It was intense, and the individual who can help to answer a lot of these questions has just arrived, and we're bringing him in. Welcome.
Hi, how are you doing? Can you hear me all right?
You sound fantastic. That is great.
Okay, good, because I'm in a hotel room, and you never know how that internet goes. So,
oh yeah. So one thing I totally forgot to ask: do you prefer Michael or Mike?
I go by either. It really doesn't bother me either way. Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever feels good in your mouth.
So I was just giving everybody in the live chat. So everybody in the live chat, give a huge welcome to Michael Stewart, who is the president of the Satanic Grotto, based out of Kansas. We're going to run down some stuff, then we're going to get into the nitty gritty because there's some interesting stuff. I got to the point where you were doing the desecration of the communion wafer, and then you popped in, and so now this was just a perfect moment to bring you in, and we'll talk about this. So let's see real quick, and I want to make sure I said hi to him. Slim West, good to see you, and Road No Less Name, good to see you. UDEF, good to see you. Exceptionally Average, see a bunch of people in there. Fantastic. Here we go. So, Michael, why don't you? Because my audience may not be totally familiar with who you are, what you do. Can you give us a kind of a quick rundown as to how you got into Satanism, how you found it, how you got into it, and how you became the president of the Satanic Grotto?
That I have been a Satanist for quite a while now, since probably 2000 was when I first read the Satanic Bible. But over the years, I just followed different groups, including the Church of Satan. When the Satanic Temple became a thing, around about 2013 or so, I started hearing wind of that. And by 2019, I was working to start a chapter of the Satanic Temple in Kansas. We went through a bunch of stuff with them, and then we just came to the decision that it seemed more prudent to us to keep all our money, all our power, all our decision making in our own local community, and try to affect those things, as opposed to giving our money and power over to somebody in another state doing other battles. Right. So then we went independent about 2020. So we've been running the grotto from there ever since. Protesting, we do charity work, we throw killer parties, but those are invite only.
Well, that's awesome. That actually answers that question, because why the Satanic Grotto is independent from the temple and independent from the church. But that, I find that to be refreshing, because more people adding to that pot and giving their viewpoints, and whether these things are open to interpretation or not, more people involved in it. And I think that an uncentralized approach is really, really good, which I think it helps to maintain. I think it maintains transparency, and it keeps people, and I think in a sense, it keeps people honest, which I really, really like. It doesn't get lost behind the bureaucracy of a hierarchical solution of some sort of, like business entity. I like the independent
with echo chambers too, right? If we're going to push forward the idea of Satanism, this philosophy and what it means, it can't stay stagnant, right? We have to be able to have those conflicts in between groups to discuss it out, to elevate it and keep it moving forward. So I think all of that's applicable to it. That's exactly what we're trying to do, is just define it for Kansans,
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. So that actually covers that one. So this particular protest, what were the events that specifically led up to this event, to this Black Mass being taking place at the Capitol?
The events leading up to this, we had a lot of people desiring to do activism in our group. It was a big thing, especially with the administrations that are taking over and have in the past. People wanted to do something, feel like they were actually doing something to cause change and real progress in our community. So we stumbled on some different groups. We helped do clinic defense for Planned Parenthood for a couple of years. And through there, we met other protesting groups, right? And just kind of start meeting more people. You get more connected. And before you know it, we're showing up at the Capitol all the time. We're just at the Capitol in Topeka. And while I'm there, I just see all these groups taking advantage of their rights. They're praying in the Capitol. They're singing in the Capitol. They're lobbying. They're politicians. They're calling them out on the floor. They're really putting pressure on these people. And I was just like, wow, why aren't we doing this? Like, here I am trying to stop these guys from doing it. And I think the thought just came to me, what I need to be doing is what they're doing.
Right.
And then everyone lost their mind. So
the freedom of and freedom from religion, the Establishment Clause, being what it is, but we can do it, and you can be mad that we're doing it, but no, the idea of you expressing yourself. And I don't think you'd be alone in that. I think if it was a group of Muslims or a group of Buddhists or Shinto or whatever, so long is it's only them, is it's only a particular Christian denomination or just Christians themselves, or maybe even the Catholics themselves. So whatever it might be, the hypocrisy is they wear it on their sleeves. That it's ignorance. My favorite sign, I was telling the live stream, my favorite sign out there that the Christians would have was "Sacrilege is not free speech," which blew my mind as far as the ignorance. I was like, I had to stop and be like, they took the time to print that, to put money into that, and it got me.
It's insane. Some of the stuff that they push out there, I mean, is blatantly, for people who say they are patriots, who believe in Constitution, who are, generally of a political persuasion that claims all of that. Right. It's just insane to me, the cognitive dissonance.
Absolutely, yeah. It got me. Just, I guess, rules for me and not for thee, which is one of the great signs that I saw out there. That one of the Satanists brought out there, which I thought was really, really cool. If I may ask, and so one thing I was really curious about, because I don't live in Kansas, I live in Oklahoma, so I'm really familiar with how things are done in Oklahoma. But up there in Kansas, what was the process like in originally getting approval for the event to take place within the State House?
This was the craziest part to me, was I spent 2 weeks thinking, wow, this might be super easy. I got online. I had been debating on it for a while. I even went as far as making friends with a representative in Kansas, because I was real nervous. It's like, how are we going to pull this off? They'll never let us do it. And then after talking to some other organizers for different groups who have done stuff at Kansas, they were like, nah, just go online and pay your $20. And I was like, okay, so I did. And I mean, I was very honest. I didn't try to disguise it or anything. I put the wording that I put everywhere else. I was like, we're going to dedicate the building to Satan on the 28th. How about that? Blah, blah, blah. I just put it in. The lady Kathleen within a day, called me back, was like, yeah, I processed and put it through. As long as your payment's clear, you're good to go. Wait for your email. And I got an email, and for 2 weeks, there was nothing. It was just quiet. I talked to Capitol Police. They were like, yeah, whatever you got to do. They were like, you will open this door. You can drag stuff in. We were very cordial and polite about it. Lieutenant Walker was actually really cool. To one point we were talking, he was like, I had no clue what to expect, so I'm looking this stuff up at home, and my wife looks over my shoulder and she goes, what the hell are you looking at? And he goes, I don't know,
I'm doing homework, woman.
He's like, I'm doing homework. I gotta figure this out. And I told him, I was like, look, there's a lot of lurid stuff in there, and when we do it in private, we do the lurid stuff. We love that. It's fun. It's part of our culture. It's part of the therapeutic blasphemy that we put out there to help kind of like heal religious trauma, right? And we get weird with it. But we're in the state capitol. I'm talking to the cops, right? I'm like, there's not going to be any naked people. There's not, like, don't, like, I'm even going to do my best not to use curse words, right? Like, I will stick to my script because I have a horrible profane mouth. I had it all worked out, and I for about 2 weeks was like, wow, Kansas is so cool. They're just gonna let us do this. I was just like, I just thought it. And then I woke up on March 12th, I think, and Laura Kelly, our governor, our Democratic governor, had made a press release, had not even talked to us, had not talked to the police, had not talked to anyone, just bowed to Catholic pressure because she is Catholic herself. And they got the TFP, the Foundation for Tradition, Family, and Property. Horrible name, by the way. It was them. So like they just set up a protest thing, right? So everyone who signed up got to send an email to Laura Kelly, and she got like, I don't know, 60,000 emails or something.
Holy
So and look, and I get it, it's hard. It's a rough position to be put in, and I for one am not trying to give extra heat to the one Democrat in a super majority Republican Kansas. I don't want to be that guy that's giving them heat. But the truth is, when it came down to it and it was time to stick up for her constituents' First Amendment rights, she chose the Catholics. And not only did she chose the Catholics, she kind of washed her hands of it afterwards, like Pontius Pilate, and left me hanging in the winds to the whim of everyone else. So
now, one thing I saw that she did, and it was, it's both slimy and very much a CYA kind of thing. I saw that she had canceled everything in the building that day. And because the Constitution itself is ostensibly an everything or nothing document where we represent everybody equally or we represent none of it. And you get all the rights or you get none of the rights. And nobody gets specific treatment over anybody else forever and for any specific reason. And so she's covering her ass from a legal perspective by basically just saying no demonstrations at all. Everybody's canceled. Everybody loses. Spank all the kids to try and get the guilty one in that respect. And I get why. I felt it just, very. I hate to throw the word cowardly out there, but that's what it felt like to me. It felt like putting her future as governor ahead, or her prospects as governor in the next election ahead of the Constitution, which unfortunately we see way too much of. But you were stuck. Obviously, they canceled everything on the inside. You guys were relegated to the outside, out to the front steps, which I thought was actually kind of neat, despite the wind. The wind was insane, but so you got the front.
Where it got a little more complicated here too, and I would almost agree too. Like if she had to do something, right? She had to kick us out. Okay, I get it. If a couple things didn't happen here, one, that these people would be right back inside doing the same thing as soon as session starts up next year, right? Like this only happened because of us, not because of anybody else, and they're going to start up and get to do what they get to do again without any question. And then the other thing is, when she swept us outside, yes, those stairs are majestic. I wish I had the email on me right now. We had no authority to use the stairs. It was very specific. And we didn't get any choice of where we were to go. They gave the south steps, which is usually a little better from wind. It's where everybody usually chooses to go outside. That's where everybody is, on the south side. They didn't give us the south side.
Now, just for looking at the Capitol, because I've got it on the screen, is that to the left where the big red flags were?
If where we were standing, if you were looking at the building, it would have been off to the left. Yes.
Okay, because there was a big rally going. I guess the believers trying to use their God magic to counter your magic in that respect.
And I don't know if you got to see any of that. They very much were allowed use of the steps as well.
I did. Yes, they had their flags posted up. Like it honestly, I almost mistook it for a Klan rally.
Yeah, it was very like Imperial March. It was. It was very, very crazy to see. And that's what we're dealing with here. Is not only did we get swept outside, but they gave a superior position to people over us without asking, and then tried to relegate us to a side where they could contain us, right? Where they could surround us. It was very, very much done to still keep us silent. And that was the point when I got all those emails, and I was like, I have to go in the building. I was like, this is ridiculous that they're going to all of this. Well, and they inflated all the numbers. They said it was for our safety because there's going to be thousands of people who want to kill you. So let's put you outside with them.
One thing I'm curious about, because you mentioned the Catholic Church was up in arms, and Laura Kelly, capitulated to the pressure from them, but they also threatened you with litigation.
Oh no, they absolutely tried to destroy us with litigation, and what they didn't know is that we have eyes everywhere. Well, they had to do it in my county. Our group is our nonprofit is registered out of my county. So when they went in, okay, so this is so crazy. I got served with papers on a Tuesday. Okay.
Damn, they got that fast.
Yeah, so fast. Okay, so this is like Tuesday at 4 p.m. I find out Tuesday at like 7 p.m. A friend of mine goes, "Hey, did you know you got court on Thursday?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "Look, I'm not gonna say how they all looked and found stuff, but they were like, you got court." And I was like, okay, what do I do? And they're like, go to the courthouse and just figure out what you can the next day. So I did. I hopped up that Wednesday, went to the courthouse. Sure enough, I got court. They saying that the diocese is suing me, and there's just no information. It's like 2 lines of text. And I'm like, this is so bizarre. So no one's answering my phone. You can't call someone and say, hey, I'm being sued over a cracker, and I really need some help, because they don't believe you. Right. They just like, or they're Catholic and they hang up on you, which I'm pretty sure it happened at least twice. So I just started darkening doorways that Wednesday, just showing up at lawyers there in Leavenworth County. And finally one said, hey, go down the street to this lawyer. They got a bunch there. They're kind of known for like being out there, but go see what they can do. So I go, and I've been told I'm allowed to say their name. It's the Bateman Law Group in Leavenworth. And Amy Bateman actually ran for a representative against Pat Proctor, who's a giant dick in Kansas. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. I should have asked.
We are salty as fuck here. So
okay, all right. Okay,
yeah. Oh yeah, I got no qualms.
Yeah, Pat Proctor's a dick. And she ran against him, and I wish she'd have won. It was very close, but she's a hellacious lawyer, and her civil lawyer is incredibly cool too. And they finally, I talked to them, and they're like, get out of here. And I'm like, no, like, look at my paperwork. And they're like, fine, we'll do it. We're going to show up tomorrow. So this is Wednesday now at like 6 p.m. I'm like down to the wire. I got court at 10 a.m. the next day. And I'm talking to them. I'm like, what is this thing? And they said, well, they are suing you for a cracker. They said, but it's also an ex parte on your evidentiary hearing. So the only time an ex parte is put into place is generally when someone is being beaten and abused so bad that they're trying to escape their partner and they can't risk having them at court because it might get them killed. That's the only time the law really allows an ex parte on these types of hearings. And this is what they're trying to pull. And and our lawyer goes, we're not going to let them pull that. Just be there at 10 a.m. Well, I'm a nervous guy. Like, I can't just sit at home. So I was there at like 9:30 waiting. I walked in at the same time as, it wasn't the bishop. It wasn't Father Newman. It was, I can't even remember the other guy's name, but it's a bigwig in the Kansas Catholic Diocese. We're walking in at the same time, and he's just sour looking at me. Oh, he's so mad. We go in, and I go upstairs. His lawyers are waiting. He goes over to them, and they're looking over at me, and their lawyer comes over and looks at me, and he's like, Mr. Stewart, do you have representation? And I said, yeah, buddy. I was like, they'll be here any minute. You don't worry about that. And they get over there, and boom, they're just bop, 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 bop. They're talking. You can just tell their day has been ruined. And then our lawyer shows up, and like she climbed out of those men's nightmares. It was the most gangster thing I've ever seen. She comes in like flanked by like 3 female paralegals. They're like a flight squadron, V formation, just coming in at these guys. She didn't even say hi to me. She just goes straight for the kill. And they start arguing and debating, and then all the lawyers disappear. And before you know it, by the end of it, she comes back. She goes, yeah, they're going to drop all the charges. You didn't steal anything, right? And it's like, no, I didn't steal anything. They're like, okay, cool. That's it. Got on stand and said, I didn't steal anything. The judge said charges dismissed. And as far as I can tell, those lawyers were put under a gag order for some reason. And I don't know if it's because of that ex parte thing. And I don't quite know, because I can't, even my lawyer goes, I can't talk on that, but the judge knows. And I don't know what that means. I'm not a lawyer. So that's the last I've heard on that.
That is wild that the Catholic Church would basically, because it almost comes, I'm no lawyer myself. Yeah. I just watch a lot of lawyers on YouTube. But that sounds to me like the Catholic Church was, they knew what they were doing. That ostensibly it was a slap suit. They were just trying to scare you off to make you go away. Because, we're familiar with that, to chill First Amendment protection, or chill your First Amendment right, or chill free speech. And then but they were hiding it behind that measure so that it wouldn't get out that the Catholic Church was actively trying to suppress free speech, in doing that. So ultimately, it's what they were trying to do, is scare you off so that you won't talk.
Well, the scarier part, there's a scarier part to it too, is they were working in conjunction with the Kansas legislature.
Right.
And that's so Kansas legislature, meantime, is now changing rules on how we gather at the Capitol, what it means, and especially if you're going to break a crime is a new thing there, because they were trying to say it was a crime that I had stolen this magic Jesus. And that's what the whole thing is, right? They're trying to say that I'm committing a criminal act by doing this and instituting procedures and laws in our Capitol building now to prevent that, based on the idea that they were going to win this sneaky court case that I just happened to catch on to because I've got good people watching my back. And it's horrifying that I caught them, because they could have theoretically kicked the legs out from underneath my group by saying we broke the law, by suing us. There could have been all kinds of ramifications. We don't have a lot of people. We don't have a lot of money. It could have been devastating had we not caught it.
Definitely. Now, the Black Mass itself, I was there, I covered a bit, and I apologize. My freaking side light just went out on me, and I wasn't expecting that. It just now I'm all cloaked in shadow and shit. I'll have to replace that here in a moment. There you go. Okay. So from what I saw, and unfortunately I had to step away for a minute because I came woefully underprepared, because I learned a lot from going out there to do boots on the ground journalism in that respect. But nonetheless, I had to step away, and I came back, and you were just starting the Black Mass, and I showed the audience actually, before we get into that, let's just say that the event was not without some excitement. Before the first major thing, there were a number of people that tried to breach, that tried to come in and do their stuff, and tried to interrupt their stuff, and which I found to be, I was kind of, were you expecting that? Some people to try and rush, or trying to get up in there?
The earlier ones, there was a gentleman by the last name of Spees, who I caught immediately in the middle of his stuff. And I know him from protesting and counter-protesting in Lawrence, Kansas.
Was that the guy with the Islam sign?
Yeah, that's exactly him. That is exactly him.
Funny thing about him, the wind was so bad, and he's got those big-ass dreads, that the wind kept blowing his hat off, and he kept having to, he spent more time chasing that stupid hat than he did actually saying anything. Because he'd be like, that
come
back. But it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. So
he is just a incredibly horrible human. I tell you what, the craziest thing about this whole group and everything I do is the amount of absolutely atrocious people I know by name and face now, and history. And he just happens to be one of them. I'm tracking him from Kansas City to Wichita anymore. And I just can't believe. So the early one, him showing up, when I saw him, I was like, fucking skis. I just immediately looked at the cops and said, that one's dangerous. Please get him out of here.
Right.
Because he has a tendency to get violent. So, but of course I say that being the guy who hit someone in the Capitol, I will recognize that. But
awesome. There now, I saw a couple of people try to the officers there. I interacted with the officers a number of times. They all seemed cool as shit to me. They were really, really friendly, very, very well organized. But then there was, while you were doing and I unfortunately did not get a good picture of it. I got some pictures of the aftermath, but we were at that point where I was talking to the audience. There was a guy who was posted up, who was just standing there at the side, like just posted up there with his little sack of snacks and his bottle of water, and was quiet, not doing anything. I got several pictures of him. One, I think he's glaring at me. He's like
shook his hand, like honestly.
And then you were doing the about to do the desecration, and he jumped you.
Oh man. This might be the most surreal moment out of everything that happened that day. That is the moment where my brain truly blanked out, was trying to process what was happening. And let me first of all say that Jesus, I had the communion wafer, is 2 years old from an old Black Mass that we had done, and I had saved it kind of as like just a memento, right? And I have a little altar room, and I kept it in my house. It's probably dusty as hell. And I just, the morning of, I was like, it'd be funny. Instead of using the ones, I'm going to use the old wafer. It sounds like it'll be fun. I'm going to wrap it up, put it in my pocket. Didn't think just a little joke to me.
Nice.
And then I get out there, I'm doing the part. And it's kind of my favorite part of the whole ceremony, right? Is this one speech right before you crush the wafer. I think it expresses such anger and such sadness. And it's so raw for me that I just identify with it very viscerally. So I'm screaming that thing, and I'm holding up the Jesus, and it comes time, and I drop that thing. And he just comes out of nowhere like a superhero, like flying. But he landed on his belly, and it was so awkward, and it was kind of short of me. So he's like grasping at my feet and like kind of pulling at my shoe, just like real weird and awkward. And like my brain's shutting. I'm like, what the hell is happening right now? Why is this man clawing at my feet? And then he gets up on his hands and knees a little bit, and I feel like his shoulder butt up against the back of my knee, and I like he's going to try to toss me off balance. This is now like it went from being weird and awkward to, oh, he's really trying to do something. And I reached down and I clobbered him a bit. I got him to let go of me. My buddy Sean finally figures out what's going on. I think I even yelled before I tried to get him off me. Before I started fending him off, I think I yelled like assault or something silly. But I was like in the moment, like I said, I was so flustered. I didn't know what was happening. And I wasn't going to let him trip me because I didn't know what was going on. But as soon as we got to scrapping, I took my foot off that Jesus, and it's crunched and kind of like half rubbed in the ground. I swear to God, he picked it up and put it in his mouth. I think this whole thing was him trying to eat it before I could destroy it. And it's not even a real, like, that is like a satanic wafer. Like, dude, you just ate Satan. It wasn't Jesus. The joke's on you. I'm just so floored. I don't even know what to do.
Now, here's that opens door for an interesting question that actually came from the live chat a little bit earlier before you came on. Is that now specifically the Satanic Grotto? Is it a theistic organization or an atheistic organization?
So we're actually very open to that concept in our group. I like the idea. What I usually tell people, especially theists who come into our group, because we have some people who would probably identify more esoteric. Maybe they like tarot cards or some little vice like that. I personally am more towards the atheistic side, but we don't turn anyone away because their ideas are different than ours. What we say is, if you come in, we're just going to challenge your ideas. If you can back your ideas up and you're comfortable with them and can live with them being challenged, then please come in. Let's talk about it. Right. And I think that lets us reach out to a wider base of people. Our overall goal is to create stronger, smarter, faster, maybe a little more dangerous people than they were before they came into our organization. So part of that is taking maybe people who have work to do on themselves, and allowing them a safe place to explore that without being judged, and to, come out of some of those places.
Definitely. And just to address this in the live chat, because the second time they've asked it, Catholic traditionalist, I'm familiar. Obviously, I know you. We've interacted before. Asking how are y'all obtaining the Holy Eucharist, and I'll just say they have their ways.
Okay. Do you want the answer?
It was the secrets are up to you. If you want to, I mean,
Pope Amazon. Super easy to get a hold of communion wafers. They come in all kinds of shapes, and and look, I have every authority that any Catholic priest has to put a ghost in a cracker. I just do. I'm a Satanist. I claim it. They can't say I don't. I would like to see them show me how I haven't done it.
Right. And just to clarify, because then Catholic traditionalists is just going to be CT, I call it. It's just going to be like, oh, well, it's not actually, you're not actually doing anything because it's not consecrated, blah 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 blah, whatever. But that's irrelevant because, and I wanted to clarify this for the live stream for the audience. The event at the Capitol ultimately was political in nature because it was in response to the relationship between the state and local religious groups, and an expression of the First Amendment. So
I think they forced it there. That's this could have been as easy as 20 or 30 of us showing up, doing our bit, and leaving, and it would have been just that. It would have been our expression of our time. It would have been half an hour out of the entire Capitol's agenda, and then we would have gone home. And this whole thing had been over. They forced this all to become a political issue by continually and systematically using both government and preferential treatment for the Catholics to push us down and deny our First Amendment rights.
Right.
And like I said, I put that squarely on them. We didn't come looking for that fight. We came to come and have our place in the political circle.
Yep. And then they turned it into they made a mountain out of that molehill.
So they just kept hitting it too. I kind of described it like those mice when they were doing the nicotine test. They just keep hitting that button. Man.
until they die.
Yeah.
All right. So I was there for the so this is where things got really, really interesting. Because unfortunately I wasn't able to stay for the entire thing. Thank you, Lieutenant Jedi, who's been a member of the Godless Army for 15 months. Do appreciate that support. Thank you very, very much. You rock, dude. So I wasn't able to stay for the whole thing because I know that at a point after the Black Mass was over and I saw people begin to disperse, that you and your group headed into the Statehouse. Now, I had an idea of what might go on or what I wasn't really sure. I wasn't able to cover it. I had to get back to Oklahoma, so I was back on the road. I wasn't on the road for, I shit you not, 45 minutes before I got the notification that something had gone down.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I just like that, like something happened at the Kansas City. I was like, okay, likely they went in there, they demonstrated, and they were like, no demonstrations. And I was expecting a criminal trespass. Like they canceled it all. You can't demonstrate. Get out. No, we're not getting out. Okay, you criminal trespass, and then you go. But apparently that's not what happened. So tell us what happened and specifically who the fuck Marcus Schroeder is.
Oh, that guy. Oh man. All right, folks, we'll buckle up. Here we go. So yeah, we get done with the Black Mass outside, and that's we made a bunch of mini Black Masses and handed them out. I was like, you can stop one Black Mass, you can't stop 100. Let's just hand them out, and then if anybody wants to go into a bathroom and do it or whatever, who's gonna say either way? Mm-hmm. But I always knew I was going to take one of those kits and go inside. Like I said, I'd known this from the moment Laura Kelly kicked us out. I was like, God, like we just can't let this happen. So I think I got set up. I really do. I had received a tip that they were getting ready to lock down the building.
Okay.
And I, in the moment, just accepted that on face value and moved forward like, oh, we got to get in now. And it was about 5 minutes ahead, 10 minutes ahead of the schedule I wanted when I was told this. But once again, it had been a hectic day. I've already been attacked once. I'm anxious about getting arrested anyways. So I'm like, let's go. And in retrospect, looking back on it, I don't know that I know where that order came from. Who sent that up the line to me? And the more we look back, we don't know those people. So I think I got fed information to go into the Capitol, and I did. I walked down to the front door, media trailing me, which was super weird. I met Lieutenant Walker, once again, the same guy I've been talking to quite a bit during this whole thing. And he stands at the door and he says, Mr. Stewart, if you come inside, you do your ritual, you do anything disruptive, you hold any kind of protest, I'm going to have to place you under arrest. I say, yes, sir.
Gotcha.
And he lets me in the building. I go through security. Everybody's going through security. And I can just feel like the tension is getting crazy. We can hear Catholics behind us, like outside the front doors of this, just getting loud and angry and vicious.
And this was over on this is because I saw you walk around the side, so you've gone up the other. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, this is the north side, which
the north side. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, so there's always, and so I just go in. I'm just trying to make it to my designated place. I always stop by John Brown's sword. That's one thing that happened. And I even took the news people and stopped there by the sword and told them, I was like, look, I don't know that John Brown would have approved of me, right? Being a Satanist, and he's a Calvinist and all. But the man's story is inspiring. What he did, I felt is inspiring and part of Kansas. And I was just like looking at that sword, remembering that was a catalyst to the Civil War and to people really fighting for what they believe in. And so I'm getting there. I'm trying to explain all this. And Catholics are already in the building. There are like groups of them, including representatives. You can always tell they got their little lapel badge on, right? They're in there praying. There are priests in the building praying, where I have now been forbidden to go pray. And I hear one of them scream, John Brown would have hated you. John Brown would have killed you. And I was like, that's it. All right, I'm moving on. And I look up, and sure as hell, there's this group of people. There's a couple ladies blocking my way towards this one avenue that I would be going. And I'm like, this wouldn't look good on me if I just shoulder through these ladies praying with their rosaries. That's not going to play well. Luckily, there's a detour, and I just kind of dipped out real quick, got up to my floor, and I get to the rotunda, and I look in, and there's like 8 cops. Like, I mean, they have circled the rotunda. And strangely, there's a handful of people in the middle of the rotunda. And I'm like, man, I don't know what it feels like to be set up this bad, but I feel like that's the feeling. As we're looking in there, I'm like, this is weird. So I proceed to the middle of the rotunda, and this is all on camera. Now I've got cameras everywhere on me, and I just start trying to read my prayer. And the little lady starts coming up and messing with me. Her husband's there. They have their kid there, like a 3-year-old that they leave. They just like let go of her and start messing with me because they want to play police because the cops aren't doing their job, is what they said. And I think the poor little girl got knocked over in the scuffle that precedes or that comes after all of this. And I hope that she didn't get hurt. I hope she just got scared. I hope it was just a scary moment and they got her out and she's safe. But I just can't believe a parent that would think that this was something that, a 100-pound woman should go take on because she believes I'm breaking the law. If I were a parent, which I am, I would have gotten my kids out of there. If I thought this was a dangerous situation where violence could escalate or somebody was going to sacrifice someone to Satan or something, I'd be out of there. I'd take my kids and I'd go. But that's not what they did. And while they were kind of bombarding me, they had their hands up in my face. I'm trying to deflect and get away from them a bit while I'm reading. That's when Broccoli Head comes in. Old Marcus.
Marcus Schroeder, right.
Marcus Schroeder. And have you talked about him yet?
I have not. I wanted to kind of like leave him for that because the tale of this guy but because he's up there and you have more kind of like, familiarity with him.
Well, we were in the jail together, so
We're in the same cell?
No, but I can see him from mine for sure.
Oh, okay.
Marcus, and I'm going to use this term just out loud. I know people don't like it. Is a budding fascist. He's already called in a bomb threat on an LBGTQ. And I'm not sure if it was a gathering or a pride walk. Yeah, something like that. He called in a bomb threat. He's already a felon at like 22. So he is I sometimes call him the kid, but he's by no means a kid. That's just because I'm starting to become an old man and it's catching up with me quicker and quicker. But he, like I said, he is no joke. And he started snatching that prayer book. First time he grabbed it. And I'm familiar with Kansas law. I know how it works. I've been on the protest line. I've been in intense situations where I've gotten in trouble for not knowing the law, and I know it now.
Right.
And one of the things you can't do is snatch stuff from people. You can't do that. That's battery. And he does it. And in the video, you can see I stop and I look at him and I look at the cops. And nobody's doing anything, and I'm like, "All right, that's the one, brother. That's the freebie you get." And I go high. And I specifically remember this, like I'm a tall guy. I was going to go real tall. I can read from up here. The little lady's not going to get it. I don't think that kid. And then boom, he got it. He just drug it back down. And he wouldn't let go this time. He was holding on heavy. And I'm no martial artist or anything, but I understand the concept of balance with his tiny butt. So I just yanked him forward a little bit and planted one hard on him.
You did see the picture, right?
Yeah. It looked like a good follow through on that. So
I was saying that was a good. It was good because it's like and it's like just classic. It's like it just look. I was like that right there sums it up.
There were two things that happened on that first hit that led to the second hit. The first one was that I immediately noticed that kid had to look like he'd never been hit full in the face like in a real fight before. It looked like
everyone's got a plan.
Yeah, everyone's got a plan until it hits. But then he's a young man. They bounce back quick. His second one, the thing that I noticed was he was mad. And I was like, now we better go ahead and finish this then. So that's when I popped the second one. And then those cops were just on me. And I mean, of course, all this happened so quick, right? Back to back. Like we're just firing on all cylinders. But I just remember being rushed by that first cop. He grabs my leg. I like bounce back like 10, 15 feet, probably 10 feet. And I'm going, I surrender. I give up. And I remember him looking at me going, "It's too late." And I'm like, God. So I just hit the ground. And they dogpile me. They cuff me. They roll me over. They perp walk me through the whole building.
That's fucked.
Well, okay, so here's one thing, and I mean, it's a long walk from where I was, a long, straight marble hall, and I'm going down it, and I'm a little stunned. Once again, this is like now the third time. I've been attacked by a cracker guy, I've been attacked by tiny fascists, and now I've been attacked by cops. So my brain's just on like overload, right? And I hear from behind me down the hall, my beautiful, amazing wife just scream, "Hail Satan!" And like everything clears up. In that moment when I hear her voice, I'm like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. And I do. I just I scream, just "Hail Satan" from one end of that hall to the other. And the weirdest thing, and the reason I know half of this was for show and half of it was a setup, is because as soon as we get through to those back doors, as soon as those doors close, everything drops 100 degrees. Cops are cool. We start walking. We're no longer like, high stepping, trying to rush through things. They're no longer yelling. They're very polite. They're like, "Mr. Stewart, we're going to have to pat you down now. Is that okay?" And I'm like, "Sure."
Okay. There it is. I fucking love that picture. I really do. So, and I mean, we're not here to glorify violence like this, but when you accost people, especially in, if statutes allow for it, you put your hands on someone and the officers, I could look at that. This is what kills me. Look at that. Look at that face. So, but yeah, you had to defend yourself. I completely understand that. So I get the situation that I think the police put you in was just unnecessary. Not to mention Schroeder is a dangerous individual who is I'm surprised that I can understand why it felt like a setup. I do. Now, ultimately, who all was there? I mean, you were arrested And you were arrested.
So it still goes on. So they goose walked me out, and that's one board member. So we have 3 board members that all get elected, that kind of run and take care of everything. It was me, one of our board members, and then the head of our Wichita chapter. All got arrested. The other 2, they went up together after I'd been arrested, and they were just standing there, eating their thing. Sean pulls out a piece of Bible paper. Every kit had a piece of the Bible in it, and he went to go rip it, and you could hear, and I'm not sure, I think they identified it as one of Laura Kelly's people, said, "Get him." And then the cops came in and arrested both of them right there. I was sitting in lockup underneath the Capitol, and it was not lockup; it's just a spare room they have, right? But and then here come these 2 marching in. I'm like, "You guys," and they're like, "We're not gonna let you have all the fun." Like, okay, fine, whatever.
So ultimately, so I know that Schroeder was charged with disorderly conduct, which I honestly think is a fucking travesty, because it's obvious he should, at minimum, battery, disorderly conduct, battery, whatever thing you like for starting violence or doing something like within the Capitol like this. Did they also did they hit you with an assault charge, or was it just disorderly or criminal trespass?
I got
or anything
disorderly conduct as well, and then all 3 of us got unlawful assembly
because of the governor's order for that day.
Yeah. So yeah, me and both Marcus got the disorderly conduct. Now, I think that I still have the ability to approach this from a civil point and still sue him for assault. So that's one thing we're looking into right now. We have a fundraiser going. We just hit a good bit, and I'm talking to some lawyers trying to get some stuff locked down, but we're by no means letting any of this slide. Like I said, we weren't looking for the fight, but if they're going to ask for it, we're going to finish it. So definitely.
Now, one thing that struck me, and kind of like this makeup office kind of, I'm going to try and word this as best I can, because there seems to be a bit of a double-edged sword here. In getting arrested as a physical demonstration of your First Amendment rights to express the understanding that the governor put what ostensibly would be her career, the future of her career as governor, ahead of the constitutional protections. Getting arrested for that as that message makes sense to me. But it seems that there's a double-edged sword on that, because working within the confines that the governor had canceled all events, and then getting arrested, that would seem to many to provide unnecessary ammunition to the other 2 Catholics and to other individuals to point at you and possibly give the kind of like, what about whatever the tu quoque bullshit that they often pull is like, well, he did this. Well, what about this? The governor gave the order and they violated it anyway, meaning that they break rules, and that's what they do. Do you think that you getting arrested in the face of the governor's order might overshadow any of this? Or do you think you have a bit of a more uphill battle going forward?
No, I don't think it will. Like I said, I think that we can still show a pattern that order was put in league with other things to completely oppress us and take us out of our space. I don't think it is simply that this was some benign order from the governor on goodwill of the people. I don't believe that that's true at all. And it might be an uphill battle to prove that. But, I come from a religion where the guy who picked the battle lost. We're not afraid. That's Satan was kicked out of heaven, right? He went to battle for himself and he lost. That in itself can be inspiring. And look, I don't think we're going to set any precedents here for it either, because the precedent should be that we all have the same freedoms. That should be the precedent we're looking at, not that some Satanist got arrested for violating Governor Kelly's orders one day. We'll see if next year when we sign up for something new, if they kick everything out that time, or if the next time we do it, they kick everything out that time.
Right.
And I think that's the important. Yeah.
So as it stands, moving into the future, I know that you you're looking at potential litigation going forward from this civil litigation because I think that you have grounds. I think that to a degree that civil rights were violated. Obviously, I think Schroeder assaulted you, so I think that that you have options, and definitely your lawyers will work with you on that. Now that the Grotto is this the most the Grotto has ever been in the spotlight nationally?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's like I said, we have 36 members over 5 cities in Kansas, right? We've done some stuff locally that's caused a stir. And usually anytime that we've been filmed, all our protest signs, say like fuck Christian fascism, and the news will come out and they'll interview us, and then they'll realize the word fuck is like 3 times in their background, and then we never get aired. So it's always been kind of a weird juxtaposition. Like we've been filmed, but no one will ever air us. So
definitely getting traction now. With this kind of momentum, never know where it can go. I wanted to get your, because I think with an understanding of what went down and the ongoing fight going forward, I kind of wanted to get your thoughts on the future, kind of like the future that this nation, that this country is headed, not just Kansas, but where we're going. Obviously, with things like Project 2025, with the Trump administration, the threats that he's making, the direction of our economy, the rise of Christian nationalism, especially extremist Christian nationalism, which we are all at various. I think the vast majority of the people who watch my channel are involved some way in the fight. Like I myself here in Oklahoma am currently taking the uphill battle to take on that Ryan Walters motherfucker, because that dude is just needs to be gone, for the shit that he's doing to our kids here in the state. But where do you think what are your thoughts going forward?
I think that's part of the reason I did this whole thing in the first place. The whole reason we got into activism as a group, it's going in a very scary direction. And if there's anything I want people to take away from this, is just do something. So many people are sitting around wringing their hands and pointing fingers going, don't do this or don't do that. We need to change that attitude on this side. Go do something. Stop picking fights with each other over the most stupid things, and just realize we're all different. Our side of this spectrum doesn't have a unifying singular voice that we can all march to like the other side does, right? They can point to Jesus and say, everybody fall in line, but we all have competing interests and ideas. We need to start learning how we actually stop tearing ourselves apart and start using that energy out towards them. Just start doing it. Even if you mess, that's why I keep telling, look, I'm not good at this. I've been an activist now for 5 years and I'm not great, but I'm doing it. I'm trying. And when anybody challenges me, I usually say, bring your seats. If you can do it better, show me. Show up where I'm at. Let's figure it out. Let's do it. If you can do it better, I will learn from you. But let's do something.
Definitely. That's one thing that I'm doing that I find one thing that, because I typically I do my my response content that I do on my channel. I also engage in debates, but one debate I'm really wanting to get more into and have it more often is the debate between secular humanism and Christianity, or any other kind of like religious ideology behind social structures, and arguing for that. I think it's important. I'm taking it upon I want to take it upon myself to really try to inform people and educate them about why secular humanism is a far more superior system to Christianity or any other kind of religious ideology, and how it works, how these statistics bear that out, how the evidence is all there. And that's one way that I'm working on it, and especially here in Oklahoma. So, but yeah, it's scary times out there. Do you plan on any more? Any thoughts for any more protests or any other things out at the Capitol?
Out of the Capitol, I telling everybody that I think unbaptisms will be great for opening day next year.
Fuck yes.
Let's just say anybody who wants to be unbaptized, I'll be doing them at the Kansas Capitol. I'll figure out when the legislature, I know they're coming back in April here for a little bit, but that might be too close. They might not give me a permit. So we'll see. I'm going to work on that. I'll let everybody know as soon as I figure it out.
That is awesome. Well, Michael, this has been fantastic. I do appreciate it. Sorry, my light went out now. Like I'm looking all in the shadows now, but I appreciate you coming out. I know your schedule is busy with you. I know you're up in Chicago. I think you're up Chicago, somewhere north of Chicago, somewhere there. Yeah. You're traveling all over the place, doing your thing, getting the word out, and I appreciate that. I did see that Decay had one question. Decay 79 said, Mike, the guy you punched, will there be any consequences for his actions? We hope.
We hope. I'm hoping that maybe he's still on parole or has some kind of, is going to have to answer somehow for this, as opposed to his felony in the past. I don't know if that's the case or not, but I'll talk to my lawyers to see what we could push and figure out. So
definitely. Yeah. All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out. Be safe out there, bud. And I hope to have you on the channel again in the future. Okay.
Anytime. Let me know. Hell Satan.
All right, boss. Take care. Peace. All right. So, this is wacky. So I don't like this. So, huge giant thank you to my light is out. So now I feel I'm all in the dark. But a huge giant thank you to Michael for coming out. That was absolutely awesome. Michael was an absolute trooper out there, did the event, and of course, stood up for what he believes in, stood up for what many of us believe in, fighting for the First Amendment and that representation that the Constitution secures for all of us. And so sometimes, sometimes it gets a little dirty. It really, really does. Give me one. Okay, so if you give me just one moment, I'm going to be right back. I'm going to try and fix this issue. I hope it's just the light. I hope it's just the light and not the actual lamp. That'll be really bummed because that's my dragon lamp and I really like my dragon lamp. So I'm going to grab a new light real quick and I will be right back. So hold tight. I promise I will be really, really quick. Talk amongst yourselves. And of course, any questions I have or any questions that come in, I'll be able to get to them. Give me 2 seconds. All right. Sorry about that. Hopefully this will work. That's not right. It's not actually going in. There we go. Get it in the cradle. There we go. All right. That was obnoxious. All right. So, woo, that was a lot of fun. Really good, very informative. It was an absolute blast. So, if I'm going to go back real quick. Oh, wait. And let's do this. And I can go back to this. And there we go. All right. So, let's get through, go back to where I was at. I'm going to give somebody a seizure, probably scrolling through that quick. So the gentleman who ate the foot cracker, that was that guy. He ate the foot cracker. So the one that was on the ground, which was entertaining. Have a good night to K79. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, bud. And I'm fairly certain. Oh, good dog. that she was one of the ones that was arrested. I'm fairly certain. I should have double checked. There was our guy doing the music. And this was just before he got jumped. Let me see if I can. Yeah, that was it right there. When he was on the ground, I'm pretty sure they're looking at him there. When he was on the ground, she's taking a picture of it there. So, and then the officers came in. They're talking to him on the steps. He was doing an interview there. So that got kind of crazy. Yeah. It was just wild. And that's when they were closing it out and getting ready to go off to the side. Yeah, they're like at the bottom of the steps. He was doing some interviews. I said goodbye to him, and that was the picture of the State House. That's there. I did that up myself so I can make a better thumbnail. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was good times. So, so the Black Mass in Topeka. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed hanging out with me and Michael Stewart and getting a chance to hear what happened from the people who were there as to what went down there. I wonder how everybody else is doing here. How is everybody doing? Let me see. Let me make sure I said hi to everybody who was here. Let me see. Hopefully people catch us on the replay. Tony Regime, good to say you, bud. Appreciate you being here. Yeah, 18 likes. That's 6 + 6 + 6. Yes, it is. Steve Weber, good to see you. It's time to tell satanic ghost stories. Definitely. Dan C., appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. All right. And I think I caught everybody. Of course, Catholic Traditionalist was in here running around, which I thought was hilarious. What was he crying about? You atheists also can't refute the tag argument that Jay Dyer, Matt Slick thought. Yes, I can. The tag argument is easily refuted. I've refuted it multiple times myself. It's absolutely silly. You're making basically the tag argument just ultimately, if you boil it down to its essentials, like essentially what, for those who were curious about it with the tag, the transcendental argument for God is that it makes the assumption that certain things that are considered transcendentals, which are things like, logic, that these are transcendental things that are necessarily true, that in order for them to be necessarily true, there must be a thing that grounds the necessity of their truth. And so that thing is defined as being the God. So they're just defining the God into existence as the thing that does the thing they think it does. But what the problem is that that's not what the evidence shows us. Things like logic, mathematics, these things that appear to be universal and inviolable, they apply to our frame of reference in the universe. So we really would go to physics in order to try and in order to look at these things. When you get into higher dimensional mathematics and you get into things like quantum mechanics, stuff like this, these things don't apply equally at the what you would call like the relativistic level, how we interface with objects that are external of us in a relativistic fashion. And so the transcendental argument argues that these things, regardless of state, that they transcend the universe, and so they are universal and inviolable and consistent in all possible worlds. But that puts the cart before the horse, because essentially it's the argument that you heard me posing when I was taking on Jim Bob. And so the idea is that there's two schools of thought. There's necessitarianism and then there's regulatory theory, or what you would call like humanism and anti-human or non-humanism. And so the idea is that if you look at the language of logic, if you look at the quantitative language of mathematics, if you look at these things that appear to be universal and inviolable, what are they actually doing? They're describing the things that we are observing. So if you start from the idea that the system exists, humans exist in the system, humans make observations, and then we basically articulate and we are quantify and articulate those observations. And so how we do that is what we call logic and mathematics. Okay, that's how we do this. That's the process. So these things are descriptive in nature. They're describing things. They are not making absolute statements about reality, but they are making absolute statements, or essentially they are making absolute statements about human reasoning. Okay, that these things are prescriptive for human reasoning so that we can make coherent statements about stuff, but they are not prescriptive of the universe itself, because to assume that they are prescriptive entails that human beings are special and this universe is designed in a specific way in order to facilitate the rise of human beings to then in turn recognize these transcendental concepts to be led back to God. So it's just one big circle is all it is. Transcendental argument is very easy to knock down. It's very, very silly. And Van Til is not this fucking titan that people like Darth Dawkins and other people. Presuppositional apologetics is fucking philosophical bankruptcy. That's all it is. There's no point to it. I mean, if you'll notice, the vast majority of us are getting really, really tired of it. They're just because it's just crap, and it's too easy to knock down. So Catholic traditionalist is all full of crap. You know, he begs the question of the existence of his God to do the things he think it does, and he makes assumptions about reality. He makes assumptions about prior states of the universe before the Big Bang that he can't justify. It's all faith based, and it's all his fifis based. That's all it is. He can't actually defend any of his shit until he's able to demonstrate that his God exists independently of mind and context. He doesn't have an argument. He doesn't have anything on that. And this is interesting that I kind of got into this, because that's one thing I want to do. I kind of wanted to talk with you guys about this. Now I know that, and I'm hoping for more people in the live stream. But it's a weird time. I went to 7:00 on a Wednesday, so the kicker is that it's getting harder and harder. And I don't know if the other channels are finding this stuff. And I don't know if it's getting tougher to find more content, but it's getting tougher to, I guess, find content that is not just repetitions of the shit that I've done before. I know that in many of my videos, I've repeated the same concepts, but I'm getting the feeling that a lot of the people that watch my stuff they're caught up. They're familiar with it. And I know that I don't like hearing the same shit over and over and over again, which is why the First Amendment frauditor stuff, I kind of fell out of. I don't find it interesting. The occasional safe flight challenge I find entertaining, but it's obvious it's bunk. It's absolute crap, just like flat Earth. It's absolute. The analytics are falling out of it. And I'm thinking that I would very much like to start getting into more having the conversations with people. And so I'm looking into potentially doing that and doing more live streams where I sit down and have conversations with individuals and trying to set that up. But I need to talk to people like Planet Peterson and Justin over Deconstruction Zone to try and figure out how I can set that up, because they do it via TikTok because they're big on TikTok. I am not big on TikTok, and I don't really care to be, but I think I can do it via this, maybe. Or if I get a bunch of subscribers over to TikTok, maybe I can finagle that over to this one, because I really prefer YouTube over TikTok. But nonetheless, I would like to set that up. And I need to talk to them about how I can potentially set that up so that I can talk to individuals about what they believe and why, as as a kind of an extension of the stage of reason, that I do every third Sunday over on the Politics Discord server. But that's pretty, I'm running into that. I don't know if it's me getting bored with the repeating the same shit over and over. I have my next video already prepared. I have the script written, and it was just so low fucking tier. Just low tier shit. And I was kind of yeah, getting harder and harder is a blessing in my eyes. It's true. You repeating your Rave Dark says you repeating yourself is way better than Dan repeating himself or Beer Day. Oh, true. So I would like to be able to do that. That's why I really like what Taco is doing over at his channel, because I'm hoping that I can get more debates. I know that Jim Bob said that he would debate me. I know, Made by Rim Job. I know he said he would debate me on secular humanism versus Christianity. But then again, he thinks I'm a really, really vile person because I call him Rim Job. And so I don't know if he's actually going to debate me. But if he does, I'm looking forward to handing him his ass. It will be quite entertaining, because I'm prepared for all of his bullshit, irrelevant shenanigans where he's going to bring up irrelevant nonsense in order to distract from the actual point that his God doesn't exist for him to defend it. It's all based on his fifis, and just because he doesn't like a particular thing doesn't mean that he gets to dictate what other people can do and not do. So his appeals to emotion, appeals to consequence, and bullshit like that. So I'm looking forward to wrecking him on that. If he chooses to debate me, we'll find out. But yeah, where do we find good arguments to refute? It's kind of I've done so many. I think I'm over 300 videos at this point, and all of them are 20 minutes. The vast majority are 20 minutes plus, where I'm breaking the stuff down. And maybe it's just getting boring for me doing the same stuff, or maybe, and I don't want to bore you guys. I feel like if I start getting bored with it, y'all will start getting bored with it. You'll be able to tell he's looks like Jail is not really putting his his efforts into this one. A challenging one. because it's not challenging at any point. It's not challenging anymore, which I think like the straight up conversations would be really, really good. Would be more entertaining and more informative than my usual stuff. I'll still be putting out the usual fare. I'm thinking about, oh, what does my t-shirt say? Mundus sine Caesaribus is what the shirt says. So I'm looking into the, looking at that to kind of expanding it. It's hard if your philosophical argument lasts more than 8 hours. This is true. Definitely call your local philosophy PhD. But yeah, I'm kind of angling into that. I think it will be interesting. But yeah, I'm trying to get people to. The Stage of Reason does pretty well. I'd like to see that grow a little bit. I really don't want to have to touch into TikTok because it's just a fucking hellscape. I'm not impressed by TikTok. Not to mention, I don't know if the ban is still out there. What is the with TikTok ban looming, Trump thinks deal will come before the April 5th deadline. So yeah, it's like 3 more days. That's the deadline for TikTok to find a buyer. And Trump is holding a meeting on possible investors to buy TikTok with possible ban at AO. In 1 week on April 5th, his extension delaying a ban on the short form video will expire if the app is not bought. The extension was 75 days. If it's not bought, if ByteDance doesn't divest the app by April 5th, the app could go dark in the US again. If you check out, blah, blah, blah. So, and he reports that he'd consider lowering tariffs on China to encourage Beijing to support a sale of TikTok's US assets. He'll extend the ban. Oh, and he said he'll just extend the ban again if a deal isn't finalized by the deadline. This is so dumb. So I have no idea. An executive order delaying the ban by 75 days. Trump would say like that. He can't. So he can just do it by executive order. So anyway, so I have no idea. Yes, I'm drawing it's Cabin in the Woods. I'm drawing a really hating Teespring right now. I am as well. I just got notifications that some stuff has been shipped. I just got notifications. And here's what's really wild. I contacted them and they have refunded me all of the shipping costs for all of the prizes that went out because it has taken so long. I think it's because of what's going on in Europe. What's going on, I guess, overseas. Okay. But they've refunded me all my shipping costs for getting those products out. And now people are starting to get their stuff. I got 2 emails that 2 people have gotten their things and the last stuff is going out. So it is taking fucking forever. So I bet that the Chinese parent company sells it to a shell company owned by them. I have no doubt about that. Probably. So, but yeah, I was looking at, as far as content goes, I was looking at Matt Powell, and it's just science stuff. It's just, it's just, you can debunk Matt Powell by just explaining geology. They're like literally like I think one of his last videos was it was just a complete misunderstanding of geology. So geology, you can just explain that. Other people, what some of the other names? I kept running into stuff, and I'm kind of like, I do have 3 videos on deck, which are in various stages. But I don't know. I have no idea. So I'm going to keep putting stuff out there, and I hope it's entertaining for you. I really do. Ronan said I got my No Lives Matter mug 2 days ago. That was one of the ones that went out. So, yeah. So, and Ken Hovind is down in the dumps as far as the algorithm goes because, the whole like whack and atheist thing has lost its luster unless he's going after a particularly large channel like Simon Dan or someone like that. I don't know. Maybe things will do. I don't know. Maybe I'll get more attention. Maybe my channel will get more attention when I hit 10K. Maybe. I know that I'm really close. This is kind of like the home stretch, like the last 200. what is it? Let me see. Oh, the last 198. So 198 to 200. So I'm 198 away from 10K. And then, of course, we'll do a 10K celebration. Obviously, do a 10K celebration. One thing that's interesting is that I think that there might be some additional traveling that my wife and I would like to do. We're thinking about doing some interesting stuff. We have to look into it and doing logistics and money wise and figuring that shit out. But Amazon is thinking of buying TikTok. Wonderful, because then they'll have TikTok and they'll have Twitch. Twitch talk. That's copyright. You can't use it, Jeff. Fuck you, Bezos. So, but nonetheless, I guess we're going to find out. Interesting stuff on the horizon. 2025 is we knew it was going to be a chaotic year. It's going to be a weird year. I don't know. So, but we'll see what happens. We'll see what the future brings. What the fuck is my headset sitting all funny on my head? So I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I guess it's time for me to get back to work. I'll probably get something to eat and go to the gym and then get back to work on this next video. But yeah, I think we're in a good spot. Been a little less than 2 hours now. I think we're good. So Ken is reduced to cloud chasing via insults. True. Yeah, it's pretty much all he's doing. All right. Well, I appreciate everybody coming out and hanging out with me. Thank you for checking out the interview with Matthew Spencer with Michael Stewart. What the hell? I need to get something to eat. With Michael from the Satanic Grotto. I hope you dig it. Definitely check out all the cool stuff that's out there about it. And I'm going to keep an eye on them and see what events they have going on, see if I might be able to make another one. And now that I have the equipment that I need to be an effective journalist on the ground, maybe I can have some conversations with some theists and stuff. That'll be a lot of fun. But other than that, I've got Bridge the Divide Roadshow. That'd be interesting. So thank you, Stephen Hall. I appreciate that. Yeah, I got new content coming out. And of course, for those who want to know, we've got the Stage of Reason. The Stage of Reason is scheduled this month for April 20th. So not only is it 420, it's also Easter. So we got the Stage of Reason on 420 Easter. Yay! So that's gonna be a good time. I'm still lining up the guest that I'm gonna have for that particular stream, but it's gonna be in the Politics Discord. Link for that is down in the description. And of course, giant thank you to all of you for your membership milestones, super chats anytime those come in. Super thanks in the comment section and all the support, because without that support, I couldn't do this stuff. I couldn't go up and check stuff out, and there's things to do like on the boots, boots on the ground journalism, stuff like that, which I hope to do more of. I really would. I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun. So I just need to make sure that I get more, be better prepared going into it. You're going to dive in somewhere, you really do. So, but yeah, thank you all very much. I'm JL. Appreciate you hanging out. As always, be safe, be excellent to each other. And together, we can bridge the divide. And I didn't have my outro queued up, which is very sad. Should have done that earlier.